Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of This Week in Community. It's a bit of a special today. As you may have spotted, if you're joining us live and you have your video enabled, your screen enabled, you can see what's going on. Myself, I'm at home, standard place where I will host This Week in Community, but Rosie Sherry is in a different location. Rosie, what's happening? Where are you? What's going on? Ah, right. Oh, so you are muted, Rosie. It's all good.
Actually, no better, right? Hello, hello.
Hello. I can hear you loud and clear.
Hello, hello. That's good. That's good. Yeah, I'm at London Community Week this week. I've been here since yesterday, hanging out with other community people. Yeah, it's in London, as the name suggests. Yeah, so far it's been a good couple of days so far. There's one more day tomorrow. It's hot, very hot. So just had some ice cream, which is cool.
Nice.
Provided by Chorus. I think on the spur of the moment, it's just like we all needed a bit of ice cream to cool ourselves down a bit.
That's a nice touch by Koros to do that, to treat everyone to a much needed ice cream. As well as the ice creams, what kind of what sort of talks have you listened to? What have you been doing? What are some things that are like stuck in your mind that you've reflected on so far?
Yeah, yesterday I did a workshop in AI and minimal library community workshop, and so that was cool. I think it went down well. It was fun, and that was just trying to kind of put an AI mindset onto building community, people learning, experimenting, and what does that mean in the age of AI? And I created some Claude skills that I shared for people to use. I didn't have too much time to use them, but some people were playing around with them, and I was speaking to a few people today, and they loved the glossary skill. I shared that skill.
Sounds familiar.
I think you wrote that one. But I rewrote it so that it didn't reference
Of course.
MOT stuff.
Of course.
Obviously, we didn't check for glossary items in our own glossary. But the idea of the glossary is, as others might not know, is to kind of fine tune the lingo of the communities, like what words are people actually using. And we've been doing it manually for a while. And more recently, we've been using it using Claude to figure out how to speed it up. That's a very cool skill. Yeah, there's still manual aspects to it. The human in the loop, the community manager in the loop, so to speak. But yeah, people seem to like it as a way to check in with the community and see what they're talking about and build up the knowledge. Yeah, from the workshop perspective, I enjoyed it. And yeah, trying to think what else happened after my workshop. There was a hackathon.
Yeah.
A lovable hackathon. That was fun. I built a community in the space of an hour.
It's so simple, right? I don't know why people are complaining about this whole community building thing. It's so straightforward. Build one in an hour. Well, what was the community you built? I got a bit of a glimpse into what it was, but yeah, go for it.
Yeah, it was. I've always wanted to build a community for home educated type people.
Yeah,
I was kind of trying to think about what that would look like, and I've always wanted to do it, and I haven't done it, or I've tried bits and pieces with Lovable. But yeah, in the space of an hour, I kind of created, I guess, a prototype that didn't really have any content, and had a little bit that I managed to add. It's all based on MOT, basically.
Of course.
stealing the ideas
Yeah.
of how we now think about community, which is interesting in itself. So yeah, that was fun, and it was fun to see what other people were building. It shows a bit of a showcase of what people had built. Some of it was quite random, and yeah, it was quite cool to see um, how easy it is to ship functional products, whether it's internal or external.
Mm.
Um, yeah, today I mostly enjoyed Gillian. Uh, I can't pronounce her. Betlich, I think.
Right.
I probably mispronounced that one. Um, but she was talking about the dip. That's the wrong word. I don't quite use that word, but she was talking about um, the downward trend of community engagement and how that's actually normal and it's okay. Um,
Mm.
which made me think about the commitment curve, which is an upward curve of engagement that people always talk about, but people don't talk about the downward curve and how we shouldn't be afraid of it and how we kind of need to normalize it. And she had a nice scientific formula for it, which is quite cool to
Mm.
think about. Um, what else? Catching up with people. A few people that I've never met before. Cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, people have known online for years, and they just walk up to me and I'm like, "Oh, it's you." Oh,
I love it.
yeah, it's
That's,
cool.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, it sounds like loads of good stuff, right? Like, just coming back to the workshop. So I shared a link in the chat for those who are following along live. We can put it in the show notes as well when we post this. Um, it's just cool, like the concept of using skills, like using AI to support community, right? Like to support our operations, to help us do things that just makes us more efficient. And I like the example of the glossary. I think is a good one because, as you say, it's like how can we build a lexicon of community speak, like the words, like you earlier on, you used the term community manager in the loop. And I'm like, that's like a glossary term already, right? That's a term that we can now define and put it out there, get that on Rosie Land, all of that stuff, get it on the Motiverse. And it's just language that people can gather around, but also debate as well. Like, my interpretation of this term is this thing, and it might be slightly different to yours. And like, why is that so? And it's just like it's a great way. It's a great way of sparking conversation that can then go on to you can do other things with those conversations. So I love that, and using that Claude skill. It's pretty cool, and I love the fact that that was an option for folks in the workshop. I like the profile creator as well. So researches a person and then creates a profile for them, and the community pain researcher surface and structure community pain points using the CPR framework from conversations, post transcripts, or notes, turn them into actionable research. I was like, that's cool. We got someone joining you live. Let's interrupt.
No, no, it was Nicola. She was taking a photo of
Ah,
her.
that's
So we'll
brilliant.
have
Yes,
people
Nicola.
liveness.
Nicola Earl, a regular of This Week in Community. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
wonderful. It's good to see
And
Nicola.
yeah, so I used her as a profile creator for my slides,
I saw that.
uh,
Yeah.
which is cool. And I guess we haven't used that one internally, but it's just one that I, as I was creating the workshop, I was trying to think about what would be helpful and useful, or how could I kind of model the multiverse into code skills. And that your MOT profile is quite crucial
Yeah.
to our work. And what would the MVC version of that look like if people didn't have the community that exists,
Mm.
but they wanted the community like profile just to surface information that was out there on them in a way that could be helpful, not just to community people, but anyone in the team, marketing,
Yeah.
product people, it could be useful to anyone. And if it's there, if they available at the tip of your fingers, anyone on the team that has access to Claude, then I think those kind of things can be quite powerful. Yeah, and I was speaking to someone today about like, yeah, it's like if you run an event and then you capture their LinkedIn profile and then you use a Claude skill to map out all the people who are attending an event and scan through it like a profile, and it could give you ideas on how you might want to, or how you might be able to connect better. I think that's cool. You know, it's not capture, but if you have nothing, it's better than what you were doing before, and that's really what matters at the moment. Is as long as you're doing better, as long as you finding efficiencies. That's at least for us, that's the goal, right? That's kind of how
Yeah.
we're trying to think about it. Is what are the efficiency gains that we can find?
Made me think about so maybe I'll try this at Moticon. So Moticon is our annual conference in the multiverse, where if I meet someone, I could find a way just for a minute afterwards, take out Claude on my phone and just record a message saying, "Oh, met this person, their name, his photo of them that I took. We talked about this, yada yada yada." Just like a very quick note to myself to sort out later. And then if I meet someone else, quick note to self, like, but give it to a tool like Claude to then have that data to then do something with after. But it's just a quick way, because my current way of doing it is I'll try and make a quick note, but I think when we're in full blown event mode, it's hectic, it's fast. We don't really have time to write stuff down. We're on to like the next thing. So maybe just quickly recording it, you could even do that without AI, right? We could just record into our phones a little note to ourselves. But it's like, why bother doing that when you could just give it to an AI bot to do something with later, like go through this data and find some themes, or find all the people that you said you should invite to this particular thing. Like maybe there's a bunch of people who I make a note of where I'm like, oh, I'll invite them to Call for Insights, which is one of our initiatives where people have a conversation and we record that conversation and becomes available on their profile. So yeah, maybe we could do a bit of that. But actually, that reminds me, have you been using your tool? The name I can't remember, the one that like you can sort of hold up and it records.
I haven't actually.
Yeah.
Though I have it with me, I haven't found a practical. It's strange, right? So the tool is Claude. It's a little thing that I've attached to the back of my phone that I can just press on a button and it records stuff. But I haven't been using it. So yeah, I was trying to find the right moment, and then I didn't want to record conversations without asking permission.
Yeah.
It didn't feel right. And yeah, it's interesting. I think. I guess it's not my event, so I don't want to impose.
Yes.
Whereas I did some recording at our events, and it's like okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, like there's some round tables happening here. I think it'd be cool to have a chord thing recording the conversations.
Yeah.
Insights, but not if it's not my event.
It's fair enough.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, how would we feel if someone came to Moticon, a community member, and started recording lots of conversations with people?
Yeah. I think it's fine if it's like one-to-one and they're fine with it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a problem. It's more like just like the conversations I've gotten into just informal conversations.
Yeah.
And it'll probably stop people sharing.
Yeah. You just go, oh, by the way, can you please speak into this device? Like, what? I don't want to do that. Yeah. But it's an interesting dynamic though, isn't it? Because we're really going for it with conversations in the Motiverse. Like we've become obsessed with let's get people having a chat or record the chats, and then good stuff can come from those conversations. Yeah, most of that is happening online, right? It's not to say it doesn't happen in in-person events, but there's something awkward, isn't there, about introducing that extra layer of a device, just appearing or actually asking for permission or saying, "Do you mind if I?" Because it then instantly changes the dynamic of what that
Yeah.
conversation is. So, yeah, that's a curious one.
Yeah. I agree.
So, kudos to Francisco Apozo. I mispronounced his surname there. Yeah, how's he been? Has he been running around? Has it been pretty hectic? I imagine.
Yeah. He's he's been running around. He has good support from Nicola and Valentina
Yeah,
and,
nice.
and a few others. So he's got a good team to support. But it's great. It's like these are the things with conferences. None of them are perfect. Things go wrong. I'm not saying anything goes wrong in this context, but just like generally speaking, it's like I guess like if I was to think about the state of conferences at the moment, it's like the story on the ground is that it get harder and harder to make happen. They're more and more expensive to make happen. Um, People have certain expectations, and it's hard to please everyone. Um, I went to a conference a couple of months ago or so, and it was just one talk that did it for me, that gave me value. Probably for me this time, I enjoyed doing the workshop. That was good for me personally. But this time it's probably me just meeting people through hallway, conference hallway chat. So do you call it the hallway? I can't remember now. The thing's gone. But yeah, it's just meeting people who have travelled a long way that you would never normally get to meet. Um, and that's invaluable in my opinion.
That's great.
You
Yeah.
know that. You know that.
Yeah, totally. No, well, it's important to say it out loud and remind ourselves of that, right? Because I think we can. It's quite easy for us to get caught up in, I don't know, grand ambitions and big ideas. And that's not to say those are important, because of course they are, because that pushes a community forward when we go big and we go bold. What we're doing in the Motiverse, building our own platform is a bold move, for one thing. That's one example. Yeah, trying to understand like what our members really value. So like we were chatting internally earlier this week that some members will just get their professional membership to attend the conference and nothing else. And where we're like, yeah, but there's loads of other stuff you could do with that membership. And it's like, it doesn't matter. We just want to do the conference, and that's why we got it. And like we're like, yeah, but for the member who's paying for the service, it's just about the conference. And it's like, okay. And it's that like level of acceptance, which feels weird, because we're like, yeah, but there's all this good stuff. You can have all this amazing other stuff as well. And there's huge value beyond the conference. But maybe in some cases, it's okay just to accept that that's what people value. And maybe for those people, it is just the one talk that is a game changer for them. Or it's, as you say, like the conference hallway chats that people really value. And it just gives them something that they've not had before. And it sparks something, and it makes them feel good about themselves. It makes them feel good about their industry. It makes them feel good about their reason to exist in whatever type of community they're in. And I think maybe us community people, we want we want our members to have joy in many different ways, right? Like all the joy in all the different ways. And maybe it's okay that they don't. Which sounds a bit weird saying it out loud, but maybe that's the case.
Yeah, I mean it's hard, especially because we're doing things differently, and people don't always understand. And some people ask us, like, "Well, you just want your conferences will not go for, can cut it in half because you don't want your conference and it's like, yeah, that's not how it works. It's all or nothing. Um, which is interesting, I think. Um, and I was just trying to get better at communicating that and what we're building.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess for me, like, I guess coming here is the chance for me to talk about the work that we're doing. And like, I think like one of my goals is that it's I and you, it's definitely a we thing, but if we can inspire others in the community space to think differently, and that's probably the feedback that I generally get the most is like, you just do things differently because you can, because I insist. Um,
Yeah.
but but increasingly, it's just like doubling down on that idea is that you want to do something different. You feel we can do better, and that's what we're doing and what we're exploring. And I think the more I talk to people about our plan, the more you're like, oh, that makes sense. I can see that.
Mm.
Or I love what you're doing, or doing the work job. I was just like saying, like, I can't unsee what we've built, and it's so beautiful to be able to work how we're working now. That I could never go back to doing it how we have done in the past. Um, and that's, for me, I think that's powerful. Um, does it mean we can succeed or, grow in the way we grow? I don't know. So many factors, yeah,
Mm.
making something a success. But I'm happy that we're doing what we're doing. And hopefully we can just, my goal is just to keep going. Um, just keep going, I guess, is like a success within itself. Um,
Mm.
and actually, yeah, one of the topics that came up is like just in discussion, it's like a reflection on like all the community tools that kind of popped up in um, I got Marie opposite me now, who's can log in. What's one scores? But all the community tools that popped up during the pandemic have all but disappeared. Like Common Room is the latest one that I discovered that got acquired by Zoom.
Yeah. Yep.
Like Common Room over got the console that I mentioned.
Yes.
Although was a smaller player. Um, yeah, it's just like you know, I guess common room still exists at the moment, but who knows what will happen to the org itself. Like the fact that it's still here, maybe that's
Yeah, it is. Well, the common room one's really interesting because I went on Wayback Machine, so end of last week after seeing that they've been acquired by Zoom. I was like, I'm sure they were way more a community focused. They marketed themselves as like we're a community tool. We go out to different places where your community hang out and bring all that data into dashboards and stuff. A bit like Orbit, I guess, back in the day. And yeah, totally different now. They're like a sales pipeline, sales lead finder tool or something like that. So I guess still connected to, um, you know, finding people. We got Marie joining us. This is epic. um, but yeah, very different. But nothing like what they were back in the day.
she's right opposite me, so it's a little bit weird.
This
I
is
think
good.
I'm going to keep myself on mute. I'm just trying to take a photo.
That's brilliant.
So
That's very cool. But yeah, I mean, yeah, to your point that like we are a community platform, self-built platform, and yeah, we're still around. We're still around. I can see Marie. Let's bring Marie. If you are ready to join the stage, I'll press the button. Hooray! Marie, welcome. This is
Hi.
magical.
Hello.
So you're, I
Okay.
mean, your background looks similar to Rosie. It's like you're in the same location, right?
Yeah,
That's
I didn't
brilliant.
plan to join, but when I was speaking to her, she's like, "What are you doing at 4 p.m.?"
That is so good. This is the first, folks, for this week of community for two people to be in the same room on the same call at the same time. So there's a first for everything in community, as we know. So Marie, it's so cool that you and Rosie bumped into each other. Like, I usually ask whenever someone joins the stage, how's your week in community been? But if you wanted to go straight into like, how's the conference been? What you've been up to? What have you learned? Then I'd love to hear all about that.
Yeah, I can start with how has it been with community because I've obviously transitioned to be a developer advocate, and my colleague who's actually she spoke today about Champions program. So this week it's really about the emerging Champions program that we have in Grafana. So this is where we are helping um, community members who want to be active. So we've opened it up to students as well. So this week, I've done a couple of mentoring sessions with a couple of them and help them sort of brainstorm, what they want out of the mentorship. Because a lot of them surprisingly want to organize events, but they don't know, for example, how to get started, like where Grafana can help. Some of them they want to do a workshop, and again, similar thing. They have like people interested, but they need support from us. Another one just wants to get started with I guess the basics. So like how the Grafana can help them, things like that. So it's really about helping them, and pointing them to the right people. So I'm not sure when we're gonna schedule it, but we're gonna have like a group session to share to them like how we do meetup, events, like where you know they can come in. Because I think from our side, like we can obviously help with the logistics, and I think this is where the emerging champions, will really have a lot of value because that's the part where they need a lot of help. And then yeah, the conference. So this is my first time attending London Community Week. My colleague I mentioned a while ago, she spoke about the top 5 mistakes that people do when they start a champions program. And not a lot of people might know about this, but when I first joined Grafana, I started the K6 Champions program, and it was only about 5 people. I managed to expand it to like 20. So in those numbers, like I feel like it was still very much, um, I guess like it was still very much okay for me to handle. But then when the program started to grow, I was super glad that Eva joined the company because I can't do a lot of the things that she does, and they are really like superheroes, like community managers, because there's so many things that happen in the background, things that we don't necessarily see, but it brings a lot of value to active members from the community, and in our case, the Grafana community. So it was just really good to hear from her point of view the mistakes and then how she sort of addressed those mistakes. So yeah, it's a fun fun one, and the rest of the conference, yeah, it's been great. It's really new to me, so it's good to hear from other people's perspective, as always.
It's amazing, Marie. I love that. Well, first of all, congratulations on just moving forward with the Champions program. Sounds great, right? And there's nothing beats like when you have members in your community who are up for it and they want to participate, they want to get involved because it's good for their career growth, it's good for themselves, it's their way of giving back, their way of challenging themselves. And it's like that challenge really, isn't it, of like really making the most of their motivation and keeping that motivation up, and then giving them like the right support where it's not like we're telling them what to do, but you also need to give sort of like frameworks and structure and process. And then, as you say, to scale it, like that gets exciting as well. And iterating on that process and those systems that support a program. That, out of interest, of the top 5 mistakes, which one would you say is the biggest one that we should be aware of?
This is so funny. So the second one that my colleague said was branded socks are not everything. So basically, we shouldn't be using swags as the main motivation to lure in community members.
I love that.
Because if we start with that, then yeah, after a couple of months, like it's gonna die down, and then they're just gonna expect swags so that they can get motivated. So you can use it as an incentive, but not the main reason to basically accept people to the champions program. Yeah.
So to play that back, folks, don't use swag to lure champions into your program. Brilliant. That's a good one. Yeah, I have an interesting. Oh, sorry, just very quickly, Rosie. Oh, there's a star. Oh, nice. That's brilliant. A live physical handing of a star to say that Marie joined this week in community. It's epic. That's so good.
I've got my main badge with stars on it.
Stars. I love that.
Handing out stars to people.
That's like a real-time physical profile with stars. That's so cool. Yeah. I think, swag is really an interesting one, and we could probably do a whole episode on swag. I've got a real strange relationship with swag where I'm like, personally, I'm quite minimalist. I don't like stuff and still like stuff. I know it looks like I've got a load of stuff in the background, but there's not that much stuff. But like swag, I'm like, for some people is like, yes, it's all about the swag. Absolutely love it. I only go to that thing because the swag's the greatest. And for others, it's like, meh, whatever. I don't need another pair of socks or a mug or whatever. It's very interesting, I think, how community folks in general, members, deal with swag. And I think people like gifts. Of course, they like gifts. But I guess, Rosie, reflecting our way we approach swag is different now as to how it has been in the past. Then if you fancy sharing a bit more about that.
So I don't know. My opinion is always changing, but yeah, generally I agree. Like last year we tried out a competition where you had to earn the swag. And this year we've got texture depth and redstone depth to clear out. And I was trying to go, how can we use that to, what's the best way to do that? Do we just give it a pack to everyone? And I was about to do that, but then at Leading with AI, you have to post a moment at the end of the day. And if they posted a moment and then you get a swag gift, it's a bit of motivation to earn the swag. And they got useful things, educational things as well. So I think that kind of worked. It's like aligns with us, so we're not just giving away things, but it also helps people see the platform that we're trying to build. So Leading with AI was like a 45, 50 person event. What happens when we take that to Watercon, and then all the people at Watercon start posting moments? I think that'll be pretty cool. And then they can show us the moment somewhere. They'll have a stand or something to claim that swag. But yeah, I think generally we've experimented with a lot of swag. Some of it, would I do it again? I don't know, probably less and less so. The t-shirts are always great. Caps have been good. It's a good brand, especially. It's the quality that matters. Yeah, I mean, we still get people playing the old school MOT stuff. But does it really make a difference? I don't know, but it can be fun.
I think that's it. Like, if it can be fun and there's like a reason for someone to earn it, not like, oh, you got to do the work, mate, to get the thing, but it's also like, yeah, do a bit of work, like experience part of a community. Like, as you say, with the Motiverse, it's people creating a moment, which is like a blog post. So that is a contribution to the community. They're sharing ideas, thoughts, and reflections where other people can read it and benefit. And then like, oh yeah, you get some swag for that. I think that feels nice. That feels like a fair exchange, if I want to use that word. Not that it is really an exchange, but I guess it kind of is. I was thinking back to, it's not necessarily swag, but it was something that we did once, or we had. I think it was at Test Bash. It was in Manchester at the Lowry. Might have been 2022. So our annual conference, Test Bash, as it was called back then. And I remember taking this thing out of a bag, and I was like, "What is this?" And it was it was like a plastic material, like massive banner that I tried to put up, and it tried to recreate what the club used to look like. So it was like a version of the club with different sections, and the idea was that people could put post-it notes on this thing to kind of share certain things, but it just didn't work. And I chuckle. I was like, oh, actually quite cringe on that thing existed. But it's just one of those, and if we're being, straight up about conferences are hard, and sometimes we have these grand ideas. We're like, oh yeah, that would work well. But when it comes to the actual test it in production, it's a very different experience, which is, I always find that fascinating. I think, as community people, maybe we don't talk about that stuff enough, about, things that didn't go so well as we'd like them to have gone, because conferences are a big deal and they're a lot of effort, and they're full on, they can be stressful, all of that stuff. So I don't know, maybe there's a time for us to put aside to talk about some of those lessons learned from putting on, because Rosie, you must have put on, I don't know, easily, I don't know, 30 or 40 conferences, way more than that, right? 50, 60?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably more.
I think it's easy to say yes to swag, and it comes to sponsors that you put something on the swag bag, and then when you realise how long it takes to actually fill up hundreds of swag bags, it's not a small task. It really literally takes hours and hours to like fill it up, and um, I think I'm trying to get better at saying no to that kind of stuff, because people don't realise how much effort that takes, and it's the workload. Um, I think swag that helps people do things, like we had the duck hunt one time, and some people was just saying that they loved it because it just gave them something to do, and they didn't want to interact and be safer, so they felt like they had this mission that they were quite happy to do, and they'd go hunting for ducks and then turn it for swag. So I guess that's similar to the moments idea that we kind of had. Is, they get to do something, and then a bit of time, and they just perhaps are not in the mood to speak to other people, which is fine. Um, yeah. Over to you.
I haven't organized a conference, so but from the I guess ones that I've attended, I think the ones that are really successful, it doesn't have to be like, which conference has the best flags. I think it's really about like the community at heart, like I think for me one of the best things that happen during conferences is, yeah, the talks are great, workshops are great, but it's the networking that happens, in between, because you really get to speak to, people that you probably haven't met in person, but you've been chatting to them online. So you kind of have this connection already. So I think those conferences work like really well in terms of bringing everyone in. If I attend a conference where, I feel like people are just not, I guess, as welcoming, then if you're a first time joiner, it's gonna be, quite overwhelming, and you won't know who to approach. So I think as, community organizers or community members who are quite active in the community, you know, making sure that everyone feels welcome and inclusive. I think that's what makes a conference really great. And then yeah, you can do I guess the cool swags, but yeah, it's not always about that. It brings a nice touch to it, I guess. Like especially if you're a collector where you like to collect, a lot of shirts or branded socks, for example. But yeah, I wouldn't, you know, want to be in a conference where I would feel, I guess, not included if it's my first time. Like this conference is actually really good because there's people here that I haven't met, and then you say hi. I'm glad that I actually attended because it's not something that I attend on a regular basis. So coming to this conference, I haven't seen any swag, just like the usual. There's a fan, which is like really, really cool because it's very, very hot here in London. But yeah, everyone's really been like welcoming, easy to talk to as well. So I think that's what matters the most if you're organizing, conferences or events.
It's such a good point. And I think that move from an online space, an online community to in person, like can be quite tricky, can't it? And I feel like those communities that do the work online and make things familiar, like what we try and do in the Motiverse, is like we hope it pays off for when people do meet up at a local chapter event and mostly at a conference like Moticon. Like as you say, it's pretty cool when you're like, we've known each other for ages online. Like you and I, Marie, knew each other online for ages, and then when we met in person, it's like, cool, like finally we met in person, and it's just great when that happens. And actually, I think the first time I met you, Rosie, because I'd known you online for a while, was in Manchester at a test bash. I think we both walked into a lift at the same time, and there was someone else got into the lift as well. And I was like, it's Rosie Sherry, but I haven't spoken to her before. And I just like blurted out the other person and went, did you know this is Rosie Sherry, like the founder of Ministry of Testing? It's like really embarrassing, really awkward. Like really put you on the spot there, Rosie. And you just like looked at me like, yep. And I was like, because it was in a lift, it was so, I cringed thinking about it. Actually, it's maybe about 10 or so years ago. I don't think we've ever talked about that before, but there you go.
It's funny. And I'm just like awkward kind of person. I never know how to respond to that kind of stuff. I'm trying to get better, but yeah. We have Claudia here, who finished his like bodyguard at Trinity Lodge a couple of years ago. I got slightly hounded, but yeah, it's awkward, but it's fun. I love it, but I just don't know how to respond to these things sometimes. But it's great, right? It's like the fact that if you reflect on it, it's like amazing. Like in a sense, it's like I'm not complaining, but it makes it so much easier for me to network with people. That people can come up to me, and I kind of think like other community people should have that, and that's almost our goal as well. It's like we need to help other people connect and get to know one another. We'll make sure I put events that they can experience that as well. So I want other people to experience that. I really don't want it to just be me, but and it does happen. It's not that it doesn't happen, but it does happen. But there's like room for improvement. Um, and I think if more people spent the time getting to know each other online and then went to a conference, that's what I think makes Test somewhat different because you're like 24/7, 365. We invest all year round, and then the conference comes, and when people ask, why does it have a good community vibe? It's like, because we're, interconnected throughout the year. And it feels like the right balance, basically. So I'd recommend that to anyone and everyone as a strategy. Who's like getting to know each other online is the best strategy to have a good experience offline.
I once referred to it as the small hike versus the big spike. So like with us, we're trying, like, people go on like a small hike, which means they're getting to know each other easily over time. And then when it gets to the conference, it's not like, it's just like, oh, this is straightforward. I'm not having to accelerate or go faster or try and go up the steep hill to meet people and make an effort. Yes, it's not dismissing that it is still intense to meet people in person, and it's hard, and we do have to put the effort in. Whereas for a community that isn't able to connect online, when it comes to just that conference mode, it's like maybe some connections and then conference, boom, massive spike in like activity and effort to connect with people, and then a big drop post event, post conference, where it's like, now what? Like, I want to still stay connected to these people. I still want to collaborate with them. I still want to do cool things. But now where do I go? And then they drop back down again. They go through the big spike next year if they come back. Whereas I think the small hike, people are slowly building up, and they just keep building and building and building, and it's just a steady climb for those people when it comes to meeting in person at an event such as a big conference. All right. So this week in community, folks, appreciate people joining us today, whether you're joining along live or on catch up, as I like to refer to it as. So for both of you, was there anything that surprised you or has surprised you so far about the 2 days? Anything where you like, didn't expect that is an absolute new learning, something kind of super interesting that kind of caught your attention?
I sadly missed this talk because I was a bit late because I had to do the school run first and then drop Archie off at nursery. But they were talking about this community decay and how that's okay because it's totally normal. And that to me, because I'm obviously, even though I'm a developer advocate, like in terms of the ins and outs of how to manage community, I didn't know that that is a normal, thing. So I think it's interesting to see that, yeah, you have to just accept that that will happen over time. And then you basically just need to find new ways to engage different community members. It's also aligned with what my colleague Eva mentioned as part of her talk. Um, and basically not to have a very rigid timeline in terms of your campus program, because if you just have it as part of like a tick in the box, or like a point system for them, and then suddenly they don't contribute because life happens, then you shouldn't really penalize the community member for not being active, because they will eventually go back, they will become active again, they just need more time. And I think as community members and community supporters, we just need to basically not push them too much, because pushing them might actually eventually like turn, push them away, and then they will leave the community. So it's about giving them the space and just accepting that decay is normal. So yeah, learn something new today.
Yeah,
How about you, Rosie?
Yeah, I mean that's the one that stood out to me. And I'd mentioned it earlier before you joined Journey to Silent, but I forgot the word that was used. That was the decay word. But maybe just something to add on to it. What's good about that, and I guess a few conversations in general, is the movement of the community space to actually think differently and come up with new ways of thinking about communities rather than. I guess like in my head, I as I was looking at the community decay, I was thinking of the community curve, which is another model that we've often seen. And it's not that that model is wrong; it's not wrong, but it's like it's the other side of the community curve that no one talks about, or what's part of that community curve that people aren't just talking about or realizing. But we like people who like the decay angle, I guess people recognize it and felt that, and internally they're like, yes, we know this is true, yet it's a mismatch with what the business wants. Whether it's like more engagement, more this, more that, it must go up. Whereas if we come to accept that we know things will decay and that's part of the natural cycle, and if we talk about it and have models or equations like William has, then it becomes normalized, and then we can think therefore about different strategies we should take. I think that's just generally a positive insight for the community world, is that let's think differently, and we could do more of that. Yeah.
That's a great insight from both of you. Thank you for sharing. One of my most important questions is, how many times has the word AI been mentioned? Hot topic or not so hot topic?
I think it's a hot topic. They have a roundtable sort of discussion around using AI in community. And there were a couple of talks where I've heard the word AI as well. So I think, yeah, it's really, everywhere. Someone, like one of the speaker, was also saying that, yeah, I'm not a programmer, but I can code, I can use Claude. So it's really everywhere. And I think, yeah, it highlights that, yeah, we can't get away from it. We just have to embrace the fact that, yeah, we have to use AI.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a tool. As a conversation I had with Lisa Crispin, a member of the Multiverse community and the software testing and quality community, she reflected that AI as an amplifier, both the good and bad of our capabilities as professionals. And I was like, that's a nice way of reminding ourselves, like it can amplify some of the bad things we do as community professionals and also the good stuff. And what we're doubling down on with the Multiverse is to amplify some of the good things we do and the good tasks that we pick up that we want to simplify or want to make more efficient, save us time so we can focus on our members more and do more exciting things with them, as opposed to the kind of operational stuff that has to happen. We're trying to make things more efficient. Oh, that's good. I'm glad. Yeah, and that your workshop as well, Rosie. It's good that I'm sure you sparked some ideas for people to think about an AI minimum viable community. Very cool.
Yeah, I guess one last point to add, to wrap up. There was one talk, can you community manager skill set, and that was quite AI focused. It was the first talk ever done. One of the things that Marius Leclerc, I think his name, mentioned was called it AI hunter or something, hunter, become a hunter for ROI. It was like you can use AI to go and hunt the value that we create, but you have to go after it. You have to look for the ones, you have to look for the results we get, you have to look for the data that you need. And then see that you don't expect it all to come to us. You have to go kind of hunting for it, and I kind of like that. It's like be more proactive. Communities across the business, right? You can't just expect it to just all show up. So I think that's probably something that I would take away and think about how we can hunt for the value that we create with AI. I think he said it more in the context of like you can use agentic stuff as well for that. But I don't think you necessarily need that. But it's more the concept of blocking with the value.
Yeah, being intentional. Well, I mean, earlier this week, I decided to use a Claude skill to look at some of our positive data. So internally, I guess I can talk about this. We have a wins channel where anything we see positive stuff that's going on in the community, initiatives that we're running, we just share in our internal wins channel in Slack. Like, cool to see this happening, or please the way that's happened, or check out what this person's doing. Like, it's just a wins channel. We share our wins. It could be anything, big or small. So I was like, can I get Claude to parse the data in that wins channel and create a monthly report that kind of summarizes what's been going on? So what are some of the key themes? Give me some stats. I want to see who's been sharing stuff. And also like some patterns as well. So yeah, I think I created it yesterday it was yesterday. So in June, as a team, we shared 34 wins, which I thought was pretty cool. There was 3 of us unique contributors, so there's more of the team to share wins. 10 were considered big and important, but that's Claude's interpretation. We don't have any hard metrics on that. So wins per person, Rosie Sherry shared 14 wins. Yeah, I shared 13, and Deanna shared 7. So Rosie tops the chart for June 2026. And then I asked it to find some themes. So it's got 5 different themes, and I won't go into the detail because that might be revealing some stuff behind the scenes. And then it shares some highlights, so some quotes from some of us of some of the words we've used. So, again, I don't think I can share them, but yeah, because they're talking about internal stuff. But yeah, there's some quotes. And then I got it to go, can you map the wins on a quadrant, where the quadrant is on one axis, you have small to big. So small to big win on the horizontal. And then on the vertical, you have important and just for fun. And Claude has interpreted those wins accordingly and placed dots on this quadrant. So, I need to go and verify that, and it's open to interpretation. But if we start using emoji in the Slack, Claude could use the emoji as a reference point, so it could identify what's important and big, or what's small or just for fun. But I thought this report's now going to run every month. It'll just do it automatically with co-work. And it's just a way for us to reflect back on a month's worth of wins. And I thought, that's pretty cool.
That's just strong improvement for suggestion. The idea that just came to mind is that it doesn't necessarily have to come from the wins channel, because Claude is smart enough to look elsewhere, and like it could be anything that's emoji actively from that might not have made it to the wins channel that is still valid, or it could interpret things to redirect something to think about how what will it pick up? It tends to pick up the interesting things.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, that sort of sentiment assessment is impressive, right? Like, it had to use sentiment to work out what it considered was important or big or small just for fun. So yeah, crank it up, open it up to other channels. But yeah, that was fun, and it was so quick to put together. But it was actually also me wanting to try out co-work and see how it integrates with Slack as well. So it was a nice use case for that. Awesome.
So push it.
Yeah. Well, folks, it looks like we are coming to the end of this special edition episode of This Week in Community. Marie Cruz, it's been so cool to catch up with you on an episode like this. I'm so glad that you and Rosie are in the same space. Check it out. That is fantastic. So yeah, folks can join the This Week in Community chapter that we have on the Motiverse. Just head over to ministryoftesting.com/chapters. You'll find it on that page. You can sign up to our YouTube channel. We also post these recordings on the Motiverse as well, so you'll be able to find them. So yeah, stay connected, folks. Keep on chatting, and we'll see you all soon for another episode of This Week in Community. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.